Y'all, we got some fucking tea to talk about. And this possibly brings pushed narratives about a certain Eagles wide receiver to full circle. It is a wild story that got Eagles fans not just talking, but having full-on lectures, dissertations, if you will. So, let's not waste any more time and dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Olde City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. Not even a full week after the reports about Jalen Hurts, which looked like an attempt to take attention off A.J. Brown trade rumors, have failed, as those talks are indirectly back in the limelight due to some recent photos shared across social media on Wednesday. So, if you haven't heard by now, there's a potential scandal going on between one NFL coach and one NFL insider reporter. But before I talk about what I think about this whole thing, let me provide some context. So, to start things off, you have a woman by the name of Dianna Russini. She is an accredited senior NFL insider for The Athletic. Additionally, she was named Eagles Insider of the Year, I think in 2026, by WIP 94, the most well-known Philly sports media network, often criticized for their hot takes on the Eagles. For as long as anyone can remember now, Dianna Russini has been one of the most vocal and persistent reporters, specifically in regards to Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown and his status with the Eagles. There have been multiple documented instances from Russini via X that I'll show here, pushing this idea that A.J. Brown wants out of Philadelphia. Here's the first one I'll show you, which reads, quote, A.J. Brown is agitated. The Eagles know it. The league knows it. But for now, Philadelphia wants him on the roster. But if Brown continues to seem miserable leading up to the trade deadline, does something have to change? Now, take a look at this second one, which reads, quote, the Eagles will insist everything is fine with star wide receiver A.J. Brown, but many around the league can see it plainly on tape. If the star wideout continues to seem miserable leading up to the trade deadline, does something have to change? It's weird how she ended those same tweets the exact same way. But anyway, those were both tweeted out on the same day, October 25th of last year. Fast forward a bit in time, things settle down a bit. The Super Bowl happens. The A.J. Brown trade talks have been dying down a bit. Then in March, Russini continued to report about the trade talks without any obvious confirmation. This tweet from March 6th reads, quote, the Eagles and teams involved in A.J. Brown trade discussions want the situation resolved in the next couple of days so they can move on to the rest of their offseason planning and identify other players on their wish lists. And then a week later, she tweets about the Rams and the Patriots talks with the Eagles, indicating Philly isn't trading to them. But she ends the tweet still talking about if a trade were to occur, that it would likely occur post-June 1st. So it's safe to say that she's been hella consistent on pushing the idea that A.J. Brown is just miserable in Philly, and that one of the first and most consistent teams she's reported being interested in a trade for A.J. Brown has been the New England Patriots. Fast forward to today. All over the internet and social media, wherever you might see your news, multiple photos were leaked of Dianna Russini hugging, holding hands with interlocking fingers, that's a little different, and laying together in a pool and I think a hot tub of a luxury adults-only resort in Sedona, Arizona, with a man who is not her husband. So, who is this other man, you may ask? Well, it would be none other than New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel, who is also married. They apparently laid by the pool and in the hot tub for at the very minimum an hour, possibly more, before leaving at separate times per various media outlets. In addition to this potential canoodling, if you will. I've seen these two reports that I'm about to share across various sources. First, apparently, you can only access the rooftop of the resort that they were photographed on from a private one-bed bungalow that costs as high as $2,200 a night. Second, according to NBC News, an unnamed friend of Mike Vrabel told them that he and Vrabel were staying together 2 hours away from Rossini's resort and that Vrabel drove over there specifically to see Diana. So this whole incident in and of itself is suspicious. But then you look on an even deeper level. At one point, Mike Vrabel was the head coach of the Tennessee Titans who drafted A.J. Brown in 2019 before trading him to the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2022 season. Vrabel was head coach of the Titans until 2023 and then took the head coaching job in New England at the end of the 2024 season. Plus, at one point, Diana Rossini reported a lot for the Titans when Vrabel was the head coach. But then you look on an even deeper level. Diana Rossini has made several public comments about her husband dating all the way back to like 2021 or 2020, some shit like that, that are pretty sus and honestly pretty disrespectful. And her husband, by the way, is a Philadelphia Eagles fan. There's multiple examples of her publicly talking shit about her husband or their marriage, making fun of his Eagles fandom, about joking that her marriage was falling apart. But here's one instance that has resurfaced, which is not a good look for Diana, where she stated, quote, "I think we all do weird things when we're in love. We overshare and overpost. I'm married to someone average. I don't post a lot about him. If I was married to someone beautiful, I'd overpost too." If I was her husband and I watched my wife go on national TV and say something like that, I would be absolutely fucking livid. Because on national TV, you see your wife say to people who are in love, overshare and overpost, but then also go to say how she doesn't post you. If I was her husband, I would interpret those comments as her calling me unattractive and or her not being in love or less in love with me than she once was. And I feel like there's people out there who would agree with me on that. So, another interesting clue in this whole Scooby-Doo ass mystery. But back to the main point. So people, including myself, have been wondering for a while now, why has Diana Rossini been the one pushing and pushing and pushing at this rumor of AJ being miserable, wanting out of Philadelphia, and being interested in a trade to the New England Patriots, despite his comments mentioning the opposite, including him being like, oh, Philly is my home. He's got all these statistical achievements with Philadelphia, including a Super Bowl win. So why? But now, after seeing these photos and all these posts about the connections between Rossini and Vrabel with their history, theories have been flooding the internet about this whole thing. I feel like Charlie fucking Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the red detective string and the crazed mean face. One of the most dominant theories that I have seen so far is that Mike Vrabel was receiving inside or fabricated information from Diana Rossini while she continues to report and push her narrative on A.J. Brown being pissed off, a diva, or whatever, to tank his stock value to the point where the only team who would accept a trade for him would be the Patriots. And because the trade stock was damaged due to Rossini's reporting, Vrabel and the Patriots would get A.J. Brown on a less expensive deal, all because Vrabel and Rossini were having an extramarital affair. So with that theory in mind, here's what I think about all this. To me, It does look very, very suspicious when you connect everything together. From their overlapping employment history, Vrabel's history with A.J. Brown, Rossini's insider knowledge with the Titans and the Eagles, the way Rossini has spoken about her husband, you have to admit, it's all suspicious as fuck. It's definitely not a good look, especially considering the linkage these two have had with each other over multiple years. With all this in mind, though, does this automatically guarantee that these two are having an affair? Not necessarily, but it is definitely affair-shaped. If I was Diana's husband, I would definitely assume that there was some cheating involved by looking at these photos and reading these reports. Also, not only is this scandalous because of a possible affair, I personally think this is a little scandalous because of the possible impacts that Rossini's reporting has had on A.J. Brown. It's very possible, because of her reporting, that this could have done some damage to A.J. Brown mentally or emotionally. I know I would feel some type of way if some random reporter was continuing to hammer a false or fabricated narrative about me, all for her own personal gain. Hopefully, for A.J. Brown's sake, his mental health hasn't been negatively affected by this. I really hope that it hasn't. And on top of all that, this could very well be viewed as a case of tampering. At the very least, it's definitely a conflict of interest and a huge damage to one's journalistic integrity. I want y'all to just listen to this, and you can even take the names of Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel out of the equation. If you were to hear that an NFL reporter was possibly fabricating trade rumors of an all-pro wide receiver, connecting him to another team who has a talent deficit at the wide receiver position, all while possibly having an affair with the head coach of that other team, who would not only gain a talent advantage, but a financial one, because the reporter plotted against your trade target, making his trade value less for the player's current team. What would you call that? Conflict of interest? Tampering, just plain unethical or deceitful, or something else? I think that you could make the argument that this whole thing could be any one of those situations. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at Second and 15 or by the full name Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can also find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Olde City Sports Network. We will see you all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!